Let's get started with our panel discussion and with our first panelist, Praful Karan from SAP. Praful has over 30 years of supply chain experience advising leading retailers and consumer product companies on industry and strategic priorities ranging from sourcing to planning and execution, including last mile white glove delivery. He sits on the advisory board at Texas Christian University Center for Supply Chain Innovation and at Florida Gulf Coast University. Welcome, Praful. So let's get right started with the first question. Why is it that last mile home delivery is important?
Yeah, thank you, Alexander. Excited to be on this call and look forward to the interest and questions that you may have. We will keep collecting them through chat and address that towards the end. So when I look at last mile and home delivery, when we first started talking about it actively in the market, nobody expected what would happen in January, February of this year. And that has really exploded with the digital channel being the only form of engagement with consumers for retailers. And even for some consumer product companies that go direct to consumer. And this has caused them to start building the capabilities around making sure they can capture the online orders, process the orders, and then really deliver where and when they want it. So deliver to their stores, but deliver to their home. And so this has become extremely critical and important. However, when we focus on white glove delivery, which is really delivery of heavy goods like appliances and furniture and mattress, that contactless delivery really becomes part of how retailers are doing business today. Unfortunately, it cannot be contactless because you have to enter somebody's home to install it. But this has always been a very critical need for these retailers because last mile has largely been overlooked. And for many reasons. And so I was reminded that January 14, 2020, which only was 7 months ago, it feels like years ago, Eric Nordstrom stood on the keynote at the National Retail Federation in New York and made a lot of statements, but one of them that really struck with us and something that we've been talking about even prior to NRF is the whole retail industry is focused on serving every consumer individually and tailored to their terms, how they want it, where they want it, what they want. And so to the extent where consumers dictate this has become extremely critical. This is a very high touch and last touch point in a consumer's journey. And we attended a couple of conferences last year, and when in an informal survey that we did with the attendees, a very large percentage, upwards of 70% of retailers have outsourced this to the Penske's, the Riders of the world, their logistics. And so essentially what I found was their brand, their consumer experience has been outsourced to some other people. Even during the COVID times, you have found the curbside delivery, contactless delivery is not applicable to heavy goods. You cannot leave and deliver a refrigerator or an oven or a bed on the curbside like you can with groceries and other smaller products. It has to be entered into somebody's home so they can do the white glove service like installs and removal. Now, it is a last touch in the consumer's journey, and this, what traditionally we found through surveys is what really happens at the end can either gain potential future never-ending trust with the brand, or it can obliterate everything that they went through prior to when their last mile delivery experience was very poor. And the other, I have a blog here that I've written around how retailers are enabling technology through COVID or should enable. And one of them is the fact that people have become very comfortable ordering things from the comfort of their couch. Pardon the pun, but when they're ordering a sofa, they can sit on the sofa and order it on their computer or on their smartphones. But they also want to have at every step of the way. And here are some of the stats that you may have seen. 80% are willing to pay more for a better experience. And that experience includes a multitude of things. But here we're talking about how was their home delivery experience. 52% are willing to pay more for speed and convenience. So why drive and pick up at a store? I want you to deliver it to my home. And I want you to come in and replace and take away the old product and install it. And I'm willing to pay more for this because it's convenient to me. And then, 82% share their positive last mile experiences with friends and family. So that is something that retailers have become more aware about, especially recently when everything is going through the digital channel. And last thing is, it is expensive. There are retailers that we work with that spend over $1 billion with a B on home delivery. And what that translates to, and this is a great example, is that if you think of a refrigerator that starts in China and makes it all the way to a distribution center in Chicago, the cost of everything, not just transportation, but supply chain costs, which means the warehousing, the storage, primarily the transportation, costs about the same for it to go to a western suburb 40 miles away, right? And that is, if you look at retailers that are trying to get closer to their consumers to serve them faster, better, know them better, they're setting up 2 or 3 big regional distribution centers and hundreds of small, kind of almost like cross docks, and those are being outsourced because they have to manage delivery points. And so the cost, when you add it up, it's about the same for 40 miles as it is for 7,009 miles. So not to be taken exactly, but the scale is it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, that's really quite impressive to collect those numbers and to make this point. I think that's something that most of us are really not aware of. But when you now think about the new normal, can you actually speak to what consumers are demanding?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, with now everybody wants safety, right? So things wiped down, things brought in clean, drivers coming in with PP equipment on. So other than safety, which has been heightened since the virus, I think of a quote from a CIO of a third-party logistics provider that services retailers, and they're saying it's critical for consumers to have complete visibility and command. And I found it very interesting that they use the word command of their delivery, which to me is really, I want the consumer needs to control what they want, when they want it, how they want it, and how do they want it in the house, and how the delivery takes place. And what they found is brand loyalty can hang on that just one experience. They could have had the best time in the store. They could be very happy with your product assortment, knows exactly what they want. And then when it shows up in the house, it's either damaged or a host of other reasons that we'll talk about. So what are really consumers demanding from their last mile service? They want it fast, and fast can be relative. If you're talking to for furniture retailers, fast can be 4 days or longer. In some cases, it could be same day, same hour, but they want it now, and that's what they're looking for. And they're looking for that lack of. They're not looking for the lack of. They are looking for professionalism in the driver and the quality of the delivery. This to me is the most critical part of where retailers, the gap that they have is that they want to control their delivery. They want to be able to know when I want it, not don't tell me it's 2 weeks from now and we'll call you the day before. I want it on Wednesday because it suits me. I want it in a window that's convenient to me. I don't want an 8 to 12 window where I can't go anywhere, but I got to wait. And the person invariably, in my case, shows up as 11:59. So I've just wasted almost 4 hours of my time. And 73% consider this important, but only 19% consider this a priority. And this, by the way, this stat was taken pre-COVID, and I'm going to guess that that there's more retailers now looking at this as a priority. And personally, as we have talked to our customers and they have bought into the solutions, this is one thing that made executives sit up in their chair and say, you mean to say if I want to buy an appliance or I want to buy furniture, I can give the control to the consumer and they can dictate which slots they want it. And I'll talk about that in a minute, down the road in terms of you just don't want to open up a window for the sake of it, but it's got to have intelligence built behind it. They're also looking for professionalism. A good example, I've had experience when I was running supply chain at a office products retailer and distributor. The feedback that we got from our customers was not about the products, the on time, the in full, the quality, the accuracy. It just was the fact that driver smoked and was unshaven and just didn't feel comfortable with the driver in the house. And we would never have looked at that as a priority, but this clearly became, and 75%, which is a staggering number, believe that is that reflects on the retailer, because even if you outsource the brand, they are representing your brand after all. So quality matters. A couple of others. There has been progress. They want visibility, they want tracking, and they want to be in the know. And they don't want the UPS and the FedEx type visibility. They want the Uber type visibility. I can see my product on the truck that's making that turn. And so I know exactly when to open the garage door and let them in, etc. So where is my order? And really getting down to real time. And then finally, experience matters. So as you mentioned, the outsourcing, you got to make sure it's not like you shouldn't be outsourcing, but manage that outsourced provider to where they are an extension of your brand, whether it's the uniform, whether it's the talk track, whether it's the professionalism. And so training your drivers or your contract drivers is very, very critical.
So when you are talking with retailers in the US, participating in home delivery focused conferences, what is it that you're not seeing?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, one of a very large Fortune 50 retailer, the head of supply chain, when we were talking to him and we were presenting all these capabilities that we've been able to build through feedback and everything that we heard through either attending conferences like Home Delivery World and RILA and talking to our existing customers. When we talked about the best practice, it was very interesting. He stood up and said, I don't see this as a best practice. I have talked to my peers and nobody believes this is a best practice till what you're telling me. So to me, it was a great reinforcement that we have addressed the critical touch points that retailers are seeing from their customers, besides what we are hearing from customers direct. And as I mentioned, the consumer controlled delivery is extremely critical. So what you're looking at is, if I am at home ordering, I don't know, refrigerator or a furniture or bedding or exercise equipment, after I place the order, so I select the order, but before I check out, I'm faced through the window, and I apologize, you can't see this very clearly, but what you do see is the days and the times as narrow as you can give them, the consumers are happiest. So not 8 to 12, but maybe 8 to 10 or 8 to 9. And what they see, whether they are in the store, across the table from a store associate, or they're at the comfort of their home, they're seeing these slots, and they're actually seeing the slots that are blacked out. So what you see in gray is essentially the retailer saying, I can't deliver commitments to those times, which is okay because you're setting the expectation with the consumer up front versus we'll deliver it and then backing out of it. And then what you're seeing in green is this dynamic pricing that tells you that I can offer you a 5 or 10% discount if you select this time, which may or may not be convenient to me, but it's convenient to the retailer. Or I'm going to charge you a premium, just like you do with surge pricing when you're picking up an Uber at 5 o'clock in downtown Manhattan, where the demand is so high. And so And that is based on not just for the sake of putting something out there, but it's tied into your transportation planning, which is getting real-time visibility into what other orders are booked on that route for that day, for that time. And so as I start building my load for that particular shipment, and I'm 30% and I can go 70%, guess what? I'm going to entice the consumer to pick that slot. So because on the way and I have the time, I'm going to offer them a discount. And simultaneously, if I'm filling up and I want them to go fill another route where I need this, I'm going to offer a premium on that particular time that is selected. So all is what we call intelligent planning around customer delivery, but you've given them control. So that is extremely important. The other one that's not listed out here, but clearly part of the consumer control delivery is not just a slot, but also stagger the deliveries based on what I want. I want 3 items, but I want it now. Or in one invoice, I get one invoice, one order, one delivery. Or I want flooring first, then I want a refrigerator, because what's the point of getting a refrigerator when I haven't installed flooring, which means the refrigerator is in the garage. So giving those 2 options to the consumer is extremely critical. Street level visibility we talked about, the white glove component, whether they do it while they're ordering or they do it when the driver comes home, is this concept of white glove, which could be a repair, install, repair, replace, and putting that in an app that the driver has and the consumer has. And then the ability to cross-sell and upsell products. We have not seen a lot of that, where if they bought a furniture, a sofa set, and an end table, we can sell them lamps. And that really depends on how the retailer wants to do this, but do this service while the driver is in the house through a handheld. And then everybody's looking for an easy way to return. So really optimizing cost and capturing the consumer sentiment. So having them take a quick survey while the driver is in the house, they can do that through a secure way to capture the experience and what was good and what can be improved. So that is really what I would say is something that we've not seen.
All right, great, thank you. At this point, let me introduce our other panelists, Tom Rune and Bjornstad. Tom led the home delivery implementation at Komplett, and today Tom works at Westernacher, leveraging this experience and implementing SAP-based home delivery solutions, especially for groceries and electronics. Tom, give us an overview of the Komplett project and what home delivery value services are you offering your customers?
Yeah, hi everyone. Coming back and taking on my hat on and off a little bit from Komplett's view. Let me go to the slide here. From the Nordics view, coming into Norway, Komplett is known as one of the leading companies at this time, and still are, from various digital engagement, from consumer electronics to everything. I would say from them and the offering, which is important from this company, is that being the biggest one with all the assortments that they can offer, I think the most important things in this case is to offer the customers the experience they need. A little bit like Praful mentioned, value-added services. You want it now. You need the express delivery offerings. You need to be able to pick your slots, and you need tracking data not only from the carrier but also maybe push or information coming out of you as the retailer. It could be the planned arrival time. It could be a 15-minute notification of something arriving at your doorstep. It could be a URL or some link that shares the position of the vehicle. You need to be able to offer ad hoc services while the driver or the person representing you is at the doorstep. So there's many aspects, but this is what customers are demanding at the moment. So I think they are very important value propositions by having this dynamic pricing part, offering small and long slots. If you're offering long slots, then you need to be aware of maybe that you need to push some sort of notification to the customer saying that, yes, I have calculated my arrival at the end of your 3-hour slot, which then bringing this awareness enables the customer to be home, not within the whole time window he requested, but at the end, because you're coming later than from your optimized route.
How do the capabilities Praful highlighted resonate with Komplett's strategic objectives?
I would say, first of all, to come into this experience of trying to achieve something and the time. I know that this project has been a little bit legendary. I would say do not try to perfect everything 100%. You need to steer clear on surprises that you will come up in when you're coming into a project or you are trying to plan something. You need to have a short decision. So surprises or efforts or things that are coming on top of your plan, you need to handle them and eliminate them quite quickly. You need a visible and ongoing executive support. You need to make things work from a front-end perspective. If you're doing an e-commerce, be careful. Even things, if they are a little ugly, but they are still working, yes, they can be tuned later on. You need to have engaged people. They need to be working really well together. Even external consultants needs to be well taken care of them, then that they give even more. So coming in from the side of discipline, stick to your plan. If you have a well-organized plan, you will win it. You should also engage and celebrate everyone in small wins if you have targets across your plan. Your attitude must be quite hard, be bold and can do, of course. From a product management perspective, it has to be strong. If you are ending up with short decisions that needs to be taken quite quickly, maybe less than 24 hours because you're stuck in some sort of problem. So that reflects a little bit of the discipline. I would say from progress, more on the side of try to steer, don't go into the world of perfection. Try to stick to the scope. If you need to think the minimum viable product, don't start going into very, very crazy designs or something. Try to make things work from it is and start minimal and learn as you're going along, even after go live or some trial period internally from employees or something. That's the beauty of an e-commerce world, and think agile. That I think has been one of the most important topics and visions that I experienced coming out of this 90-day project that was done at Komplett, leveraging a home delivery platform in 90 days.
Okay, I think we jumped a little bit ahead actually, and
Okay.
And we're talking about the what was it that you did at Komplett that made it possible to accomplish everything in 90 days, really. But let's take a step back and if you can maybe talk a little bit about the top 5 highlights that you have seen from Komplett and other retailers that you currently work with using this last mile solution.
Of course, we have been engaged in some other retailers after this first project. What we see first of all is that the demand is to offer a easy shopping experience with a variance of delivery methods, of course. And then you need a good backend to support some visibility and capabilities. Your logistics process needs to support that, of course, quite important. I see also from the carrier perspective that they are also changing quite rapidly, meeting retailers or e-commerce companies more flexibility, adding their services like VAS, return of packaging, return of the old appliances, which you have, taking them back. Value-added service directly, like mounting a TV or installing a TV, or and they are adapting quite quickly. That's what I've seen from at least from the Nordics. Also from the visibility perspective, it's they are also changing. You need to be careful not overloading your customers, of course, with information like updates all the time. Something is moving. You need to segregate that a little bit, like I mentioned earlier on, a little bit about the 15 minutes notification message, or when the arrival is quite close, you can push some sort of link or SMS update. That is one topic. We also see from projects I've been engaged in that if you have a breakdown or something, or in a hurry, the demand for urgent delivery is there. Now coming back to the carriers again, they are also striving to meet the demand of the retailers, trying to offer faster services. And of course, the situation of COVID-19 coming along really boosted the demand in the market also to come more into to offer home delivery We are now segregated from meeting. We cannot come to the stores. So there is a lot of things going on, and people are now searching for web pages that offer good visibility, flexible services in terms of how they can get the goods delivered. So that's what I think are important.
I'm going to go back to my previous question. When you look at the capabilities that Praful highlighted in what customers are looking for and what you are just described as what you have been implementing with Komplett, as well as continue to implement with your current customers, how does that align? Are we on the right track? And can you maybe elaborate also on one or two of the details from a system and asset perspective that are included in these solutions?
I would say from what has been discussed here, we are on track. From system perspective, we have the ability to support. I think what is the hard part is to have this Uber SKU-like visibility. That is a very tough requirement. People are demanding this more and more. Also, this segregated feedback to customers about important milestones of what is happening to your goods. Where's my goods? This is also very important. You want to reduce your calls coming in for people. Where's my goods? That needs to be done in a smart way. And I think coming more into the COVID situation again even puts more pressure on the people sitting at the retail end, designing these solutions. Also the support on the backend systems, the logistic requirements are getting more and more extreme, as well as delivery times and the time windows offered are coming down, or even down to just hours. So this is getting tougher, but it's doable if you think a little bit smart.
So do consumers have the same kind of app available? Can they have the same kind of app available as the drivers, so they can see where the driver really is heading? Can we put everybody on the same information panel there?
It is a little bit from us in Europe. We are coming more into this GDPR thing. Yes, there is possible to push some sort of link to an end user who then can open some sort of browser on his smartphone, and then he can see the truck coming towards his address or live information of something. So it is possible, but I think it's a little bit depending from country to country on what is allowed to share.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, but if we transfer that from a technical perspective to the US, then we really see this already being available to your customers, right?
Yeah, from what I've seen, that is fine. And I also seen requirements from, for example, picture of the driver, so that the customer is aware of what he looks like, and also information about the vehicle, how it looks like. Also then the tracking information of where it is on his route coming relative towards your address. So everything is possible.
How about the time slot picking that Praful talked quite a bit about as well?
Yeah, the time slot picking is also an interesting topic of how that wants to be solved by offering, for example, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour slots on particular dates, number of days, X number of days forward in time, and then having control of the capacity of what you're offering as well, and into the back end, and also from back end to front end of what you're displaying and offering, by having, for example, some slots being colored out because they are full, or other slots are colored green. Prices are dynamically reduced up and down from a base price due to capacity already found, because you want to stimulate people to see, okay, here is a green slot, there are orders are in my area or within some postal code range. You can reduce a transportation cost for that, maybe stimulating the customer to select that one, reducing your internal cost on your last mile planning or optimization tours that you do. So there is a lot of things that you could do on the slots, but there is, of course, the usual competition of transportation prices from what the end user pays, which can influence if you use dynamic pricing, for example, or if you have fixed price or some other rate where you offer discounts in peculiar ways or differently from your competitors. This is also an area of a lot of thinking, and where you can come out of a base concept by having static pricing or some sort of discount based on slots being consumed and used already, or more dynamic pricing. So there is a lot of ways to stimulate the customer, even in the way you offer the slots and even how you present it. How many days forward in time? You don't want to show them too much, so it's a little bit chaotic, but you also want to offer them some flexibility of how far into the future you will. And also how you offer, for example, different transportation methods, either an express or a standard one, how that is visualized to the end user. So there's a lot of aspects on this time slot part.
This dynamic pricing, for example, that is something that you work on currently, and Komplett also had
Yes.
in its solution, right?
Yes. So dynamic pricing was used. It was based a little bit on capacity figures within the time slots itself, analyzing, looking into the information and seeing where customers are ordering from a particular region, stimulating other customers coming in later or within the selected time slots which they selected for their home delivery, reducing the price to be more competitive, and also then reducing the cost of this carrier that are doing the last mile delivery, because now you utilize this vehicle even more because you are in the same region in the same time slots offered, not over a full day, or coming more. The density of it is becoming better, more or less.
That's quite a bit of experience, I guess, that you have there in this field, and how to address all of the consumer demands that Praful outlined earlier. I also want to invite our participants to drop questions that you might have, in addition to the questions that I'm asking. I've been asking, a few coming in here, but I'd be happy to have more questions actually come in and to put to our panelists. Let me ask you, one of the things that I've been seeing is around, on the one hand side, the more generic project management topics that are still on the slide that we're showing here, on how to really make this work in 90 days. But have you guys kind of standardized things in order to also push this 90-day start to finish process? What's your approach there?
My approach has been to have a very clear plan. You need to have a very clear plan of what you're doing. You need to have the capability of adapting and changing some of your processes as you move along into the let's say go live date, or when you're defining the system criterias. Think small and think foundation, so that you can scale up and change after you are in some sort of live situation, when you learn and have some experience, and then adapting towards that later on. That I feel is one of the main criterias, and also the chemistry along in the team themselves, and how big the different groups are, from, let's say, various system integrators, or the technical debit that you already have or don't have, also reflects a little bit of the possibility of having a smoother process.
All right, thank you both for your time today, Praful, Tom. I think this was very helpful and relevant. As our customers have questions on specifics like what solutions were used, the approach, how do we gauge our maturity, etc., in implementing home delivery in 90 days, please reach out to Mark and Praful. If you can go actually to the last slide. Tom?
Yeah, I can go to the last slide.
Yeah, as a consumer, I have to say I'm really excited about the future of retail and home delivery. And thanks everybody for listening, and we'll hope to talk to you soon. Thank you.